How did one fun anniversary dinner turn into a school office telling me I was not allowed to pick up my own kids? Why did my husband stay calm for weeks, then let the legal result hit me in front of other parents? I thought I controlled the story, until the papers and the rules started that same day. My name is Ligeia Mercer, and I always knew how to make a room look at me. I worked in event marketing, so I learned the trick early. You smiled, you posted, you kept the mood light, and you never let people see the messy parts. If they did not see it, it did not count. That was my rule. I still think it was a good rule, because life is short and people judge fast. That morning, I stood in our kitchen and watched Ethan move around like he was part of the furniture. He made coffee the same way every day. He lined up 2 mugs with the handles facing out. He wiped a small spill with one paper towel and folded it like it mattered. I said it felt cold. I said we lived like roommates. He asked what I meant, and I said he never tried anymore. I said I carried the whole marriage. I did not mention that my phone was buzzing in my pocket. Ethan looked tired, but he stayed calm. He asked if I wanted to plan something for our anniversary. I said of course I did. I said I wanted a real night, not another quiet meal at home. He said he already booked a table at a nice place downtown. I told him that was fine, but I also said it was late and not exciting. I watched his face and waited for a reaction. He only nodded and asked what time I wanted to leave. I acted like his calm was a problem. I said he never fought for me. I said if he wanted me, he should prove it. He asked if I was upset about something else. I said no. I said he always tried to make it my fault when I had feelings. I said he liked to label me. That was not true, but it sounded right when I said it out loud. My phone buzzed again. It was Caleb Rains. I saved him under a simple name, like a work contact, because it made me feel safe. He sent a short message asking how my day started. I told myself it was harmless. I told myself it was not cheating if my husband was not meeting my needs. Ethan asked who was texting. I said it was a vendor. I said my job did not stop because I was married. He asked why I smiled at the screen. I said he was imagining things. Ethan walked to the fridge, then paused. He asked if we could talk later, after the kids went to school. I said sure, but I already knew I would not. Talking with Ethan meant he wanted truth. I did not want truth. I wanted comfort. I wanted the feeling that I was right. Harper came in with her hair messy and her backpack half open. Miles followed her, still holding a toy car. Harper asked if we were doing something special for the anniversary. I said yes, and I made it sound bright. Ethan said it would be a family week, with a dinner for us and something for the kids too. That sounded like a trap to me. It sounded like he wanted to make me act like the perfect wife. When Ethan drove the kids to school, I stayed behind for 5 minutes. I looked at the wall calendar near the pantry. I noticed a new entry in his neat writing. It had a place name and a time, like an appointment, and it was not about work. There was another small note under it that said, meeting personal. I did not ask him. I told myself it was probably a dentist or a bank thing. I told myself I did not care, but I stared longer than I needed to. On the counter, Ethan had left a folder stack, the kind he used for home tasks. I saw labels: household, utilities, bank. It felt strange, like he was sorting our life into boxes. I touched the edge of the top folder, then stopped when I heard the soft click of his office drawer upstairs closing. He must have come back for something. I moved my hand away like it was nothing. At work, the office was loud in the way it always was. Phones rang, chairs rolled, people laughed too hard. I liked it. It made me feel important. I could be the fun one there. I could be the one people followed. I opened my laptop and pulled up an event timeline. I also opened my messages and checked Caleb's last text again. Caleb liked to say I deserved more. He said Ethan took me for granted. He said a husband should act like he could lose his wife. I never told Caleb to stop. I needed someone to say those things. It made my choices feel clean. I told myself I was not betraying Ethan. I was correcting a problem. Around lunch, my friend Marina slid into the chair beside me. She asked how married life was going. I told her Ethan was acting like an old man. I said he made everything serious. I said he expected me to shrink. Marina laughed and said I should remind him who I was. She asked if I was still seeing the sales guy. I told her it was complicated. I said it was not her business, but I enjoyed saying it like that, like I was the main character in a drama. My sister Danny called while I walked to the break room. She asked if I was okay. I said I was fine. I said Ethan was being difficult again. I said he used guilt like a weapon. Danny asked what I meant. I told her Ethan wanted the anniversary to be private, like I was some object he could hide. Danny said a woman should not beg for attention. She said I should do what made me happy. I listened and felt stronger. Later, I checked my socials. I had posted a nice family photo 2 weeks ago, and people still commented on how solid we looked. That mattered to me. I wanted to keep that image, even while I did what I wanted. I started planning the anniversary in my head like an event. I pictured the lighting, the table, the faces around us. I pictured Ethan trying to stay calm while everyone watched him. I told myself it would wake him up. I told myself he needed a shock. I said to myself that respect follows results, and I had results. Ethan had routine. Ethan had rules. Before I left work, I opened my calendar and added a small note for the anniversary dinner time. Then I messaged Caleb. I told him where we were going. I told him to come by for a minute, like it was casual. I told myself it was just a coincidence I was arranging on purpose. I walked to my car feeling light, as if I had already won something, even though I had not faced the cost yet. I arrived home late that day, but I acted like it was normal. Ethan asked if my meeting ran long. I said a client changed the plan. He asked if I was tired. I said I was fine and he was reading my face too much. I moved fast through the hallway so I did not have to stay in one place with him. He had already put the kids' dinner plates in the sink. Harper was doing homework at the table. Miles had fallen asleep on the couch with his toy car in his hand. Ethan spoke softly, so he would not wake him. He asked if I wanted to talk about the anniversary. I said we did not need a big talk. I said we just needed a big night. He said he booked a table at a steakhouse downtown, the one with white tablecloths and quiet lighting. He asked if I liked that. I said it was fine, but I also said it sounded like something he chose because it was safe. I told him I wanted something that felt alive. He asked what that meant. I said he always wanted instructions like a machine. I went upstairs and changed clothes. I stood in front of the mirror and told myself I was not doing anything wrong. I told myself Ethan had pushed me here by being distant. I told myself love was not a promise. It was a feeling, and Ethan had not given me that feeling. I looked at my phone and saw Caleb's message again. He asked if the plan was still on. I said yes, and I added a smile emoji, because emojis made choices look smaller. When Ethan came upstairs to get ready, he knocked first, like I was a guest. I noticed that, and it annoyed me. He asked if I wanted him to wear a jacket. I said yes, because I wanted him to look like my husband in public. I wanted the picture. I wanted the contrast. It made my plan feel sharper. In the car, Ethan drove like he always did, steady and careful. He asked how work was. I said it was busy. He asked if I felt stressed. I said I was only stressed because I did everything alone. I watched his hands on the steering wheel and waited for him to argue. He did not. That silence felt like disrespect to me, even though it was not. We parked in the garage under the restaurant. The elevator smelled like metal and perfume. Ethan checked his phone once. I saw a small preview on his screen that said, "Meeting personal," but he turned it away. I decided it was about me, and that made me feel angry. I told myself he was planning something too, and that it made my plan fair. Inside the restaurant, the host smiled and led us to a booth near the window. Candles were on the tables. People spoke in low voices. It was the kind of place where you could hear a fork touch a plate. Ethan pulled out my chair, like he was trying to be kind. I sat down and acted like it was expected. He asked if I wanted sparkling water. I said yes, and I did not thank him. He started talking about the kids, about Harper's school project, and Miles learning to read. He asked what I wanted for next year. I said I wanted freedom. He asked what that meant. I said he was always afraid of change. He looked at me for a long moment and asked if I still wanted to be married. I said of course, but I also said marriage should not feel like a cage. I made my voice soft like I was the victim. Then my phone buzzed under the table. I saw Caleb's name and my stomach lifted. I told Ethan it was a work message. He asked if it was urgent. I said yes, because I wanted him to accept it. I typed a quick reply to Caleb and said he should come in through the front like he owned the place. I told myself it was my night, and I could invite who I wanted. Caleb arrived 10 minutes later, wearing a blazer that looked too new. He walked straight toward us with a confident smile. The host seemed to know him. Caleb put his hand on my shoulder for a second, like we were already a team. Ethan's eyes followed the movement, and for the first time that night, I saw pain in his face. Ethan asked who he was. I said he was Caleb, a sponsor partner from work. Ethan asked why he was here. I said it was a coincidence. I said Caleb was dining here too and wanted to say hello. That was not true, but I said it like it was simple. Caleb greeted Ethan and spoke like a friendly stranger. He said he admired Ethan for being supportive of my career. I liked that line because it put Ethan in a small box. Ethan asked me again why this was happening on our anniversary. I said Ethan was being insecure. I said it was embarrassing to act jealous in public. I said Caleb was a professional contact and Ethan should relax. Ethan looked at Caleb and asked if he could give us privacy. Caleb smiled and asked if Ethan was serious. I watched them like it was a show. The server came back and asked if we were ready to order. I acted cheerful. I asked the server to add a third menu. Ethan asked why. I said Caleb would join us, just for a moment. Ethan said it was not appropriate. I said Ethan was trying to control me in front of people. I knew the tables around us could hear parts of it, and I liked that. Caleb sat down like he belonged there. He started talking about my work and said I was talented and underused. Ethan asked if Caleb could please stand up. Caleb asked why, and Ethan said it was our anniversary dinner and he wanted it to stay that way. I cut in fast. I said Ethan always made everything about himself. I said Ethan should be proud that other people valued me. Ethan's jaw tightened. He did not shout. He did not insult me. He just took a slow breath and looked down at the table. He asked me if I wanted Caleb here more than I wanted him. I said Ethan was twisting things. I said he was dramatic. I said he was making a scene, even though I made the scene. The server returned, and Ethan asked for a separate check. The server blinked and asked if that was correct. Ethan said yes, and his voice stayed even. Caleb laughed a little like it was a joke. I said Ethan was being petty. I said he was trying to punish me. Ethan looked at me and asked if I understood what I was doing. I said I understood that I deserved a good night. Ethan ordered a simple meal, paid attention to the server, and did not look at Caleb again. Caleb ordered something expensive and talked like he was entertaining me. I smiled and nodded because I wanted Ethan to feel replaced. I wanted him to feel the fear I felt when I imagined being invisible. When the checks came, Ethan paid only for himself. He did it with a card and a calm signature. The server thanked him and asked if we needed anything else. Ethan stood up, put his napkin down, and looked at me one last time. He asked if I was coming home. I said I would come when I was done. He nodded like he heard the final answer. He walked away through the dining room without rushing. People noticed. Some stared. I sat there with Caleb and tried to keep my face smooth. Caleb asked if I was okay. I said yes, and I told him Ethan was always like this. I said Ethan liked to play the victim. but my hands were shaking under the table, and I hated that. I told myself Ethan leaving proved he did not love me enough. I told myself I had been right to look elsewhere. Still, when I watched the front door swing closed behind him, I felt something heavy drop in my chest, like a bill I could not avoid paying forever. I went home after midnight, and I told myself I did not care that Ethan left first. In my head, I turned it into proof. I said a real husband would have stayed and fought for me. I said he ran away because he could not handle a strong wife. Caleb asked if I wanted to come to his place. I said no, because I still wanted to look married on the outside. I said it was complicated, like that word made me noble. In the ride home, I opened my phone and started shaping the story. I posted a photo of my glass on the table, with the candle in the background. I did not post Ethan. I wrote a caption about choosing myself. Marina commented fast and asked if I finally set him straight. I replied with a laughing emoji, because emojis let me be cruel without saying it clearly. When I walked into the house, the living room light was off. The hallway felt too quiet. Ethan's shoes were lined up by the door, like always, but his jacket was not hanging where it usually was. I listened for his voice and heard nothing. I went upstairs and saw the guest room door closed. I went into our bedroom and saw my side of the bed, untouched. His side was made, too neat, like he had not been there at all. That annoyed me more than a mess. It felt planned. I checked my phone again and saw a notification from work. HR had asked if I could stop by in the morning for a quick word. I stared at it and told myself it was nothing. I told myself someone probably complained about a vendor issue, and I could charm my way through it. In the morning, Ethan was already up. He was in the kitchen, packing lunches. He did not look at my face for long. He asked if I slept okay. I said I was fine. I asked why he left our anniversary dinner like that. He said he did not want to argue in public. I told him he embarrassed me. He said he paid for himself and left because he needed space. I said he acted childish. He asked why I brought Caleb. I said it was work and he needed to stop being insecure. He did not raise his voice. He did not call me names. That calm made me feel like I was losing control, so I pushed harder. I said he never made me feel wanted. I said he treated me like a schedule. He asked if I wanted to talk later when the kids were not around. I said there was nothing to talk about if he kept punishing me. Harper came in and asked why Dad was in the guest room. Ethan said he wanted quiet sleep. I said he was being dramatic. Harper looked between us and got quiet. Miles asked if we could have pancakes on the weekend. Ethan said yes. I said yes too, but my voice sounded fake even to me. At the school drop-off, Ethan got out of the car first and opened the door for Miles. He did not touch my arm or look at me the way he used to. It was like he put an invisible wall between us. I told myself he was doing it to hurt me, but I also noticed how careful he was with the kids. He asked Harper about her spelling test, and he told Miles to hold his hand in the parking lot. He did everything right, and that made me angry because it did not match my story of him being the villain. At work, Marina slid next to my desk again, like she owned the space. She asked what happened after Ethan left. I said he stormed out because he could not handle competition. I said he wanted a wife who was quiet and grateful. Marina laughed and said I should take Caleb to more places, just to teach Ethan. I liked the way that sounded, like I was training a pet instead of hurting a person. My phone buzzed again, and it was Caleb. He asked if I was okay. I said Ethan was overreacting. He said Ethan sounded weak. I agreed, even though a small part of me hated hearing someone else call my husband weak. It felt like only I was allowed to do that. Then HR messaged again and asked if I could come now. I walked to the small HR room with a smile ready. The HR manager, Paula, asked if I knew our policy about personal relationships that could affect vendor partnerships. I acted confused. I said I was not sure what she meant. She asked if I had invited a sponsor contact to a private dinner that looked like a company event. I said it was a coincidence. I said I ran into Caleb by accident. Paula said a complaint came in from the restaurant manager because a guest felt uncomfortable and mentioned my company name. I said Ethan was the one who made it uncomfortable. I said he was jealous and unpredictable. Paula did not argue with me. She only asked for clarity and said she had to document the conversation. She asked if I could email a timeline of the evening, including when Caleb arrived and why. I said yes, like it was easy. But when I left the room, my hands were cold. A timeline meant details. Details meant proof, and I was used to living in moods, not facts. That night, I went to a rooftop bar with Marina and 2 other friends. The place was loud, and the city lights made everything look like a movie. I told the story again, louder this time, so it would feel true. I said Ethan left me with the bill. I said he tried to shame me. I said he had been cold for years. I made sure my friends nodded. When they nodded, I felt safe. One friend asked if Ethan might file for divorce. I laughed and said Ethan would never do that. I said he could not live without me. I said he needed me to organize his life. I believed it for a moment, because I wanted to. Marina asked if I had proof that Ethan was controlling. I said I had plenty. I said he tracked our budget and asked questions about my time. I said he made me explain everything. I left out the part where I lied first. I left out the part where I hid my phone in my purse like it was a weapon. When I got home, Ethan was not in the living room. The kids were asleep. I walked upstairs and saw the guest room door still closed. I felt a sharp panic, like the house could reject me. I went to the small landing by his office. The door was partly open. I saw his desk was cleaner than usual. On the desk were folders with labels in his neat writing. I could read Household Utilities Bank. Beside them was a plain USB drive, and I noticed a date written on a small sticker. I heard a soft hum from the printer, then it stopped. A blank page sat in the tray like it had been tested and rejected. I stepped closer, and the floor creaked. Ethan's voice came from the guest room. He asked what I was doing. I said I was looking for a charger. He said there were chargers in our bedroom. I said his office always had extra. He told me to please leave his work area alone. I said it was our house. He said he agreed, and then he said he still wanted privacy. I walked away, but my mind stayed on that desk. It did not look like a man giving up. It looked like a man organizing. I wanted him to be emotional and messy. I wanted him to scream so I could point at it. Instead, he was quiet, and I could not tell what quiet meant anymore. In bed, I opened my phone again and reread my own posts. People had liked them. People had commented hearts and fire emojis. That should have made me feel strong, but I kept thinking of Ethan's calm face at the restaurant and the way he signed his check like it was a line he would not cross back over. I told myself he was bluffing. I told myself he would come back and apologize. Still, I slept with my phone on my chest, like I needed it to remind me who I was if the house stopped agreeing with me. 2 days after the dinner, I started calling it the night Ethan showed his true face. I repeated that phrase to myself while I brushed my teeth, while I drove to school, while I answered emails. If I said it enough, it became the truth. Ethan did not help me by staying quiet. Quiet made space for my version. The morning routine kept moving, but it felt stiff. In the kitchen, Ethan packed lunches again. He did not ask about my day. He did not comment on my clothes. He spoke to the kids in a steady voice and kept his eyes on them, not on me. I tried to pull him back into a fight. I asked if he was still sulking. He said he was not sulking. He said he was thinking. I told him thinking was just another way to punish me. He asked me not to speak like that in front of Harper and Miles. I said he was policing my tone. At the school pickup line that afternoon, I saw Ethan's car already there, pointed toward the street like he could leave fast. I hated that detail. It looked like a choice. I parked behind him and watched him through my windshield. He sat still, hands on the wheel, not scrolling, not texting. He looked like someone waiting for a bus, not a husband waiting for his wife. When the kids got in, Ethan greeted them like normal. Harper said she got a sticker in class. Miles said he ran fast at recess. Ethan smiled at them. Then Harper looked at me and asked why Dad slept in the other room. I said he was being dramatic. Ethan did not correct me. He just asked Harper if she finished her reading log. Harper's face tightened, like she knew something was wrong but did not know what word to use. At home, I tried to force closeness by acting cheerful. I suggested we all eat at the table. Ethan agreed, but he sat at the far end, with his mug set slightly apart. It was a small thing, but it looked planned. I asked him if he was making a point. He said no, he just liked space. I said he never needed space before. He said before was different. I asked what that meant. He said he did not want to argue. That evening, we went to my parents' house for a family dinner. The dining room table was long and crowded, and the air smelled like roasted chicken and warm bread. My mother, Brenda, loved a full table. She loved the feeling of being the center of a family. She greeted Ethan with a polite hug that lasted 1 second too long, like she was testing him. During the meal, Brenda asked how our anniversary went. I jumped in before Ethan could speak. I said it was awful. I said Ethan left me at the restaurant and made me feel small. Brenda shook her head and said a husband should never embarrass his wife. She looked around the table as if she was asking the room to vote. Danny watched me with tight lips. My father, Robert, cleared his throat and asked Harper about school to change the topic. Ethan stayed calm. He said he did not want to discuss private issues at dinner. Brenda asked why he was being secretive. I said he always hid behind privacy when he was wrong. Ethan asked me to stop twisting his words. I told him he always used that line to dodge responsibility. I could feel the table leaning toward drama, and I liked it. A crowded table made my story stronger. My uncle made a joke about husbands needing to learn manners. People laughed. I smiled and took a sip of wine like a reward. Ethan did not laugh. He looked at his plate and kept eating. That made my mother angry. She said Ethan was acting like a victim. Ethan said he was not. He said he was just not going to fight in front of the kids. Harper listened with wide eyes, and that annoyed me because she was supposed to be on my side. Miles asked if we could have dessert soon. Ethan said yes. I told Miles not to interrupt. Ethan asked me to be gentle. I said he was always correcting me like I was a child. After dinner, Danny followed me into the hallway by the coat rack. She asked what I was doing. I said I was doing what I had to do. She asked if Caleb was still around. I said it was not her business. She said it became her business when the kids started asking questions. I told her she was overreacting. She said I was acting like I had no limits. I said limits were for people who could not handle life. When we got back home, Ethan carried Miles inside and put him to bed without waking him. Harper went to her room and shut the door softly. I stood in the kitchen waiting for Ethan to finally break. I wanted a loud moment. I wanted him to yell so I could call him unsafe. Instead, he washed dishes in silence. I leaned against the counter and told him he had embarrassed me in front of my mother. He asked why my mother was involved at all. I said she was family. He said our marriage was not a group project. I said he had forced it there by leaving the restaurant. He asked why I kept ignoring the fact that I brought another man to our anniversary. I said he was obsessed with that detail. I said it was not the point. He said it was the point. I stepped closer and lowered my voice. I told him he was pushing me away. I told him he was causing this. He asked if I heard myself. I said yes, and I said I was being honest for once. He asked if I could stop posting about him. I said he could not control my phone. He said he was not trying to control me. He said he was asking for respect. Then Miles called out from his room, half asleep, asking if Dad would read to him tomorrow. Ethan answered yes, and his voice softened in a way that made me feel like a stranger in my own house. I suddenly felt jealous of my own child. which is not something I would admit to anyone. But I felt it. Later, I went upstairs and past Ethan's office again. The door was closed this time. I heard a faint shredder hum for a few seconds, then it stopped. I froze, listening. The house went quiet again. I told myself he was shredding old bills, nothing important. Still, my throat felt dry. In our bedroom, I checked my phone and saw a missed call from a number with no caller ID. I stared at it, and my mind jumped to silly ideas. I told myself Ethan was trying to scare me. I told myself he was making plans to punish me. I also told myself I did not care, because I was the one with power. But my hands were shaking again, and I hated that even more than the fear. I tried to act normal after my parents' dinner, but nothing felt normal. The next morning, Ethan was already dressed when I came into the kitchen. He had a travel mug in his hand, and a second mug sat on the counter, untouched. It looked like a message. I told myself he was doing it on purpose, like a small punishment. He asked if I wanted coffee. I said no, even though I did, because I did not want to accept anything from him. Harper came in and asked if we could do a movie night soon. I said yes right away, like I was the safe parent. Ethan said we could plan it for Friday. I heard how calm he sounded, and it made me want to shake him. I wanted him to sound messy. I wanted him to sound guilty. Instead, he sounded like a person who already decided what he would and would not do. When Ethan left for work, I watched him from the window. He walked to his car without looking back. The car was still pointed toward the street, like it was ready. That detail kept bothering me. It felt like he was practicing leaving. At my office, I tried to focus, but I kept refreshing my phone screen. Caleb messaged and asked if I was still upset. I said Ethan was acting cold, and I said I needed support. Caleb replied with a line about me being too good for a man who did not appreciate me. I felt comfort for a second, then I felt annoyed. Comfort was supposed to come from my husband, not from a man who only liked the fun parts of me. During lunch, Marina asked if Ethan had begged yet. I said he was trying a silent treatment game. I said he wanted me to feel guilty. Marina said I should not let him win. She suggested I post another story, something casual, like I was thriving. I told myself she was right, because public support made me feel powerful. I posted a photo of my lunch and added a line about peace and boundaries, like I was the mature one. That night, I went home ready to push again. I told myself I needed to force a talk. I told myself I needed to break his calm. Ethan was in the kitchen, cutting fruit for the kids. A sticky note was on the counter near his keys. It said, "Bring forms." I stared at it longer than I should. He noticed and slid it under a mail envelope without a word. I asked him what the note was for. He said it was for something personal. I asked if it was about me. He said it was about the household. I said I was part of the household. He said yes, and he said that was why he was being careful. That word made me angry. Careful sounded like I was dangerous. Harper and Miles were at the table drawing. Miles showed me a picture of a house with a big line down the middle. He said it was 2 rooms. I laughed like it was cute. Ethan looked at the drawing and asked Miles what it meant. Miles said Dad slept in the other room now. Ethan said he just wanted better sleep. I said he was being dramatic again. Harper did not laugh with me. She kept coloring, hard. After the kids went to bed, I tried a softer approach. I went to the guest room door and knocked. Ethan opened it a little. The bed behind him looked used, like he had really settled there. That made my chest feel tight, so I turned it into anger. I told him he was making the house tense. He asked what I expected after the restaurant. I said he was still stuck on that. He asked how he was supposed to forget it. I said he should focus on my feelings too. He asked if I'd focused on his feelings at all. I said I did, and I said that was why I brought energy into our life. He stared at me like he did not recognize my words. I walked into the hallway and said we needed to talk in the kitchen like adults. He followed me, slow, like he did not want the kids to hear. We stood under the bright light above the sink. I hated how ordinary it looked. I wanted a dramatic scene, not a quiet kitchen. I told him he had embarrassed me. He asked how I thought he felt. I said he always made it about him. He said I brought another man to our anniversary dinner. I said it was not like that. He asked what it was like then. I said it was networking, and I said he was insecure. He asked if I really believed that. I said yes, because if I did not believe it, then I would have to face what I did. He asked if Caleb was still messaging me. I said no. He asked if I could show him my phone. I said absolutely not, and I said he was trying to control me. He said he was not controlling me. He said he was asking for honesty. I said honesty did not mean I had to hand him my privacy. He said marriage did not survive secrets. I changed tactics. I told him he was lucky I still came home. I told him other men noticed me. I told him he had gotten too comfortable. He asked if I was threatening him. I said it was not a threat, it was reality. He said he would not compete for basic respect. I laughed and said he was weak. I said a real man would fight for his marriage. He did not take the bait. He just looked down at the counter and took a slow breath. That calm made me feel small, so I reached for something sharper. I said he never protected me. I said he would not even protect his own wife from feeling unwanted. He asked what I meant by protect. I said he should have stopped me from going that far. Even as I said it, I knew how twisted it sounded, but I hated losing more than I hated twisting. Ethan asked me to stop using the kids as a shield in my arguments. I said I never used them. He said Harper had been quiet for days. He said Miles drew a house split in half. I said kids draw random things. He said it was not random when it matched our reality. His phone buzzed on the counter. The screen lit up with an alarm label. I saw it clearly. Paper drop, 8:10 p.m. My stomach turned. I asked him what that meant. He turned the phone face down and said it was a reminder. I asked what kind of reminder. He said it was personal. I stepped closer and lowered my voice. I told him he was being cold to punish me. He said he was being calm to protect everyone. I said he was acting like a stranger. He said he felt like a stranger in his own marriage. I told him he was overreacting. He asked if I could hear myself. I said I could, and I said I was finally telling the truth. He walked to the drawer beside the fridge and opened it with a key I had not seen before. I heard the small click of the lock. He took out nothing that I could see, but the sound alone made my skin prickle. He closed it and put the key back on his ring, separate from the other keys. I asked him if he was hiding money. He said no. I asked if he was planning to leave me. He said he was planning to do what was right. I said he was threatening me. He said he was setting boundaries. I waited for him to shout. I waited for him to call me names. I waited for him to do something wrong, so I could point and say, "See, this is why I did it." But he only looked at me like he was tired of the game. Then he said, very calmly, that he would handle it properly. The next morning I woke up early, not because I wanted to, but because my body would not let me sleep. The house felt like it had new rules. Ethan moved around quietly, already dressed, already packed, already ready. He did not ask me how I felt. He asked Harper if she had her lunch. He asked Miles if he had his folder. He spoke like a man doing a job. I tried to pull him into a normal moment. I asked if we could reset and just have a calm day. He said we could keep the day calm, but he said we could not reset without truth. I told him truth was not the same as punishment. He said he was not punishing me. He said he was protecting the kids and himself. I rolled my eyes and said he was being dramatic again. On the drive to school, Ethan sat straight and kept both hands on the wheel. Harper watched the road, silent. Miles hummed and kicked his shoes lightly. I tried to make it light, so I joked that Dad was acting like a robot. Ethan did not smile. He asked me not to talk about him like that in front of the kids. I said he was too sensitive. When we got to the school parking lot, Ethan parked closer to the entrance than usual. He got out and opened the back door for the kids. He reminded Harper to walk, not run. He reminded Miles to keep his backpack zipped. He did not touch my hand. That should not matter, but it did. It made me feel like I was already on the outside. At the door, Tanya from the front office stepped out and said she needed to speak with us. Her voice was polite, the kind that sounds nice even when it is bad news. I asked what this was about. She said she had an update for our family file, and she needed both parents to come inside for a minute. I followed them into the office, annoyed. I thought it was going to be about Harper's homework, or a late payment for a field trip. I told myself it was nothing serious. Ethan said nothing. He just walked like he knew where he was going. The front office smelled like paper and hand sanitizer. Tanya asked us to stand near the counter. She said the principal was busy, but she could handle the update. I asked why it could not wait. She said it needed to be handled today. Then a man I did not know stepped toward me. He wore a plain jacket and held a thin envelope. He asked if I was Ligeia Mercer. I said yes, and I said he was making me late for work. He said he had legal documents to deliver, and he needed to confirm my identity. I laughed once like it was a joke. Ethan did not move. The man said I had been served. He held the envelope out. I did not take it at first. I looked at Ethan and asked what he did. He said he did what he told me he would do. He said he handled it properly. Tanya's eyes widened for a second, then she went neutral again. She said she would need to see the first page for the school file. I said absolutely not. I said this was private. Tanya said she understood, but she said the school had to follow what the legal papers said. She said it was about pickup and contact permissions. I took the envelope with shaking hands and ripped it open. My mouth went dry as I saw the words at the top. It was a divorce filing with temporary orders attached. My brain tried to reject it, like it was a fake flyer. I flipped through and saw clear lines about the home, the accounts, and the kids. It was written in simple, cold language that did not care about my feelings. I told Tanya she could not use this. She said she did not have to use it. She said she had to comply. I asked what that meant. She pointed to a section and said, very calmly, that until further notice, Ethan was the primary pickup contact, and the school could not release the children to anyone else without his written approval. She said there was also a note about communication being routed through a parenting app or email, not through the children. I stared at her like she was the enemy. I said Ethan was manipulating the system. Ethan said he was following the system. He asked Tanya if she needed a copy. Tanya said yes. Ethan pulled out his phone and showed her a digital copy. He did not look proud. He looked steady. I tried to speak over him. I said this was unfair. I said he was doing this because he was jealous. I said he wanted to punish me for having friends. Tanya kept her voice even and said she could not discuss fairness. She said she could only follow the order. Harper stood near the wall with her backpack on, watching me. Her face looked older than it should. Miles tugged my sleeve and asked if we were in trouble. I said no, and my voice sounded thin. Ethan crouched to Miles's level and said we were not in trouble. He said we were just changing some grown-up plans. The man who served me asked me to sign a receipt showing I received the documents. I said I did not want to sign anything. He said I did not have to agree with the papers, to sign that I received them. He said it was only proof of delivery. I signed with a hand that felt like it was not mine. I opened my banking app on my phone because I needed something to control. I tried to move money from the joint account to my personal account just to feel safe. An error message popped up. It said the transfer could not be completed. I tried again. Same message. I felt heat rush into my face. I looked at Ethan and asked if he froze the account. He said he did not freeze it. He said the temporary orders set limits and safeguards. He said bills would still be paid. He said the kids would still have what they needed. He said it stopped sudden withdrawals and surprises. I told him he was calling me a thief. He said he was calling the situation unstable. I raised my voice without meaning to, and two parents in the waiting chairs turned their heads. Tanya asked me to lower my voice. I said she had no right. She said she did not want a scene in front of children. That word, scene, hit me hard, because I always thought I was the director. Ethan asked Harper to come with him. He asked Miles to hold his hand. Harper hesitated and looked at me, like she was waiting for permission. I wanted to tell her to stay. I wanted to pull her back to prove I still mattered.